Thank you to all those who joined the community practice for the GRAD Partnership. My name is Kelly McMahon, and I have the fortunate role of hosting this session and playing MC for us, and I'll help moderate this. I'm from the Carnegie Teaching, and we are part of the GRAD Partnership. And on your screen, as soon as I share it, you will see the other members of the GRAD Partnership. So let me just set you up there. So these are the organizations that work with us in the GRAD Partnership. And part of what we're doing is creating this community of everyone else working on thinking about that, and be great. You guys have already welcomed yourselves and said hello in the chat and answered that question. So I'm going to skip this part. This community of practice really is based on this notion of us coming together with our shared commitment to learning together about student success systems and graduation and creating better schools. And here's some of a set of agreements for us. We're a we, not me space. We accept not closure. We use our ideas. We share to learn, and sometimes that sharing is messy, as I am demonstrating for all of us today. And we make room for joy. So hopefully this becomes a joyful session as we move forward. Our mission with the GRAD Partnership is to partner with communities to use high quality student success systems so that schools are empowered to graduate all students ready for the future. This is really based on a lot of the really powerful research of what we know about the power of ninth grade and the make or break year that we have there, and also what it means to be on track for graduation. And that includes data around attendance, behavior, and course grades, but earning enough credits to be promoted to on-time sophomore year. So we call that on track. It's a single best predictor of whether a student will graduate from high school within 4 years. And it's stronger than previous test scores, stronger than family income or neighborhood, and stronger than race or ethnicity. So it's really powerful. Student success systems bring this idea of organizing our school community to better support the academic progress and high school graduation, post-secondary success rates, and well-being of all students, drawing on that actionable data, including those indicators, but it's also holistic data. So we also want to know and hear from students, which we're going to get a chance to do today. And there's a lot of powerful research around agency, belonging, connectedness, and actually hearing from students, and that student perspective is powerful. And we combine that with a focus on having really strong relationships in our schools. And we focus on when things are not going well, how do we think about continuously improving our conditions and having really strategic improvement actions when students are off track for graduation. And all of this is really powered by educators in the building having student-centered mindsets. And this is all integrated together. So this notion of having actionable data, improvement actions, supportive relations, all of this comes together to create what we call student success systems. Part of this effort is really thinking about moving from a vision of high school that in the past was particular ways in which we thought high school needed to be, to creating different types of conditions in schools for that. And so schools with student success systems are no longer that kind of high school that we're a place where students have to sink or swim, but instead have really strong supports for students. These are schools where it's no longer a place where teachers and counselors have to work alone or solve problems behind closed doors, but instead are places where teachers and counselors really work collaboratively to monitor and respond to students, and they work to continuously improve together to really make sure we're creating those really strong environments where student success is a priority. In high schools where there's oftentimes a disconnect between students learning and their identity and who they are, and sometimes students have to leave their identity at the door to fit into a school environment. Instead, places with strong student success systems are places where you can draw direct connections between students' academic behavior, social skills, and have an integrated identity. Oftentimes high schools can be a place where there's a disconnect between attendance and academic performance, as if these things aren't related. And instead, student success systems are really places where there's a strong focus on engagement and how do we design for really strong engagement. In a lot of other high schools or places without student success systems, there's sort of a standard one-size-fits-all approach to problem solving. And instead, in student success systems, problem solving really starts with inquiry and trying to understand what is at play here when something is off, and what aims to be responsive, adaptive, and evidence-based. Drawing back to one of our previous community practices, this is from Sarah Gripsholver, who's the director of research from PERT's community. we know that in high schools that students were 2.5 more times more likely to earn a B or better when something called positive learning conditions. And this is based on students' reports of those conditions. So when students report that the learning conditions are favorable and that they work for them, that grades actually increase. And so in those places where they're improving on these things, then students' grades also improve. So there's a real strong connection between the conditions in the school, how we think about creating really positive supports for students, and then students' grades, and that these can change even in 1 year. So collecting data, so the PERTS data is really useful in that it's collecting input from students, and in collecting that data, even in 1 school year from October to February, they were able to see that when students reported more favorably that learning conditions were getting better for them, then grades also went up for those students. So there's a real strong indication there. When we remove the needle on this sort of creating strong and better learning conditions, then it has a real measurable impact on students. Okay, so given all of this, I was really thinking about for this particular session, and I'm so excited to invite our guests, and I'm so glad they're all here, that well, what if we started the 2023, the school year, really focused on creating strong supports from the start of the year. So if we really started right from the beginning, what would a school look like that was really supportive for students? And I thought, well, who best to tell us this than students themselves? So I'm really excited to invite, we have some students joining us, and I have the fortunate position being at Carnegie that we have this really powerful partnership. And thank you to those. I see some folks who work in this partnership. So thank you for being here with between the Carnegie Foundation and XQ, which is a set of super schools. And I think I hope my colleague, Anna, just to behind the scenes, because I can't really see you guys while I'm sharing screen, there are some links in our facilitator agenda, Anna. If you wouldn't mind, you can drop those in the chat for people that you can learn more about this partnership if you're interested. But we have access to some really powerful schools and some really awesome students. And so I invited some of them here today to give us some tips. So before we jump into the panel and getting a chance to hear from the real stars today, I just want to frame this for folks that when I met with the students to, give them a sense of what this panel would be, I sort of told them that our meeting is like a learning space. So this is a good space. And I mentioned that the way this would work, and for everyone else here, I have some questions that I'm going to ask the students, and we'll go through and get to hear their perspectives. And at the end of my set of questions, I have about 5 questions for them. And I think we have a set of students here. Once we hear from them, there'll be a space to open it up for Q&A. So if you guys want to, the other folks who are here, if you want to, pose questions and drop them in the chat, we'll get a chance after I ask a couple questions to just hear from the students, and we'll get a chance for you to interact with them. But I also want to just flag that I purposely asked them not to, prepare or have polished answers, because we just want to hear their thoughts and hear their good thinking and their good ideas. So this is meant to be kind of a sharing learning space. And so just want to set the expectations around that. And is there anything else I need to share before that? I think that with that, I'm going to turn off the stop sharing screen so that we can all see each other, and check the chat to see if there's anything else that I have anything else that we need before we jump into hearing from our students. Okay. Thank you again to everyone who's here. Okay. All right. So for the students, I'm looking to see around. I know that there is a group of folks that are here. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. It's fun to see so many friends. Thank you all for being here. Introduce yourselves, and I'm going to ask you to go around and introduce yourselves with your name, your school, where you're from, because we have people here from around the country, so it's pretty exciting. And then I would love for you to share something about what is your school known for? So what to you, what makes it special? Help everyone else in the room get a sense of your school. So can I turn it over to Sylvia? Are you willing to go first?
Yes, I can go first.
Great.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Herrero. I'm from Calvin Coolidge High School. I'm from Honduras. And something that I think my school is known for is for their academic and their sports, since they really tend to give students a good chance and opportunities to like give their excellence in everything. So I think that's what they're known for.
Thanks, Sylvia.
You're welcome.
And then Quadri's next to you. Quadri, are you willing to go next?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Kadri Kasim. I go to Ron Brown Preparatory High School, College Preparatory High School, sorry. And well, we're known for being an all-boys school, but also, I guess you could say, since it's a small school, we're also known for like one-on-one interactions with the students, making sure everybody is known on a personal level, just not just on a school level, but more of a personal connection with the students.
Thank you so much, Quadri. And I see Elizabeth, I think you're here. I know you mentioned to keep your camera off. Can I have you go next?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm Elizabeth. I am from Indianapolis, Indiana. My school is Purdue Polytechnic High School, and I'd say that we're both best known for being a STEM school, so science, technology, engineering, and math. And I say that our school is well known for that since we have a lot of engineering classes, coding classes, and just a ton of opportunities if you're interested in going into that field.
Thank you. Raphael, can I hand it to you?
Hello, my name is Raphael King. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, and I go to Crosstown High School. And I think we're best known for the freedom that the students have and the diversity that the school has. When I was at middle school, like most of the population, like 97 was African American. But since now I came to high school, I see many different people, and I made friends that I even think I have since middle school.
Raphael, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I think I'm missing, I know Madison was here and I hope we didn't lose her in the shift to the other, when we went from one Zoom to another, but I'm not sure, I don't see her here, so I apologize, but all right. All right, well, let's dig in. Thank you for those introductions, really appreciate it. And Kadri, I forgot, I know that it's mentioned in the chat, but I just want to flag just for everyone else, like DC, you're in DC, right? Okay, awesome. All right, well, so one of the questions I would love to hear from the students, and I guess I'll let you guys choose to see who wants to go first. So instead of me picking, I'll let you choose who goes first. But in your opinion, what does a supportive school look like, sound like, feel like? So in your example, what does it look like, sound like, feel like? And Elizabeth, I know you're off or whatever, but feel free to unmute whenever you want to jump in. And I see Sylvia, did you raise your hand? All right, I'll pass it to you, and then you can hand it off to the next person. I think Kadri raised his hand next. So.
I can go. Okay. In my opinion, I believe that a supportive school would look like having a good trust with the students and also having like a good example that can make the student be like comfortable and be ready to learn and be ready to have leadership and everything. And for me, I feel like it will feel very comfortable and safe to give out, especially my opinion as a student. And also my opinion also has a person in what I can do and what I cannot do. So I feel like a supportive school will give me the chance to be myself and to be ready to learn. Thank you.
A supportive school, I think the question was. A supportive school for me is, like I said before, a school that connects with the student on a one-on-one, type connection. Not just like the principals and all of that, but also the teachers and the students as well, because it could be a lot of clashing and difference of opinions between student and student, teacher and student, but when we reconcile and all of those great things, then that's what a supportive school is going to start looking like.
Yeah, I'd say for me, having a supportive school from my perspective of being at an XQ school, it feels like the amount of flexibility that we have in our own like independence for what we want to do and what classes we want to pursue in is super important. And I feel like just having that freedom, learning that freedom, being able to advocate for yourself and being taught to advocate for yourself is what a supportive school should feel like.
I think a supportive school takes the student and teacher role very seriously, and I think that when a teacher really pushes you and motivates you, not just academically but also mentally, very much helps you to push through and finish the school year off strong.
Mhm. I'm excited. I see Madison's going to be joining us too, so she did make it. That's great. I'll turn it over to her in a second. I think we heard. Did she just join in? I think so. Oh, there you are. Madison, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I apologize about all the Zoom fiasco, so I'm glad you were able to join. We just got started with the student panel, Madison. Do you want to take a moment and just introduce yourself, your name, school, where you're coming from, and then something for you that stands out about your school, like what makes it special for you, or what's it known for?
Hi, my name is Madison Young. I am 15 and I go to Crosstown High. One thing I like about my school is that there are a bunch of people from different places, and I appreciate sharing their culture with me as well. So yeah.
Nice. So there's opportunities to like really share culture, which is awesome. All right. We heard some awesome answers there about the things that make a school. What makes a school supportive? What does it sound like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Would love to get a little bit more specific now. So like we can do that. So things like, making it feel safe, places how, an example maybe of what it meant for a teacher and a student to connect. So from your experiences, so the next question is, can you provide any like real concrete examples of a time where it felt really supportive for you? So was there a particular time that you remember from class, or a particular project, or a particular way that, perhaps that flexibility that Elizabeth, that you talked about, that how it shows up? So if we maybe a specific example from your experience, we'll just it'll help us get a sense of what ways that we might be able to replicate that in other places. So anyone have a good example that's standing out to you?
For me, I'd say that a good example of that like flexibility that my school has is, for me, I'm in mock trial and I do very competitive mock trial. I'm going to Yale this September. It's very important to me. I've always had a very strong passion for it. And in order for me to have to do it, I had to change my schedule by the end of the year. And I always had our administration telling me that I could easily switch out my classes and do what I need to do that makes things best for me, giving myself a study hall, giving myself time to work on these things that I love to do and things that I hopefully will be doing in the future. And just having those opportunities really helps me do what now is something that is very close to my identity and me as a person.
You can feel free to unmute and jump in when you're feeling ready. I don't want to call on you if you're not feeling like you got your example ready.
An example for me is, since I'm passionate in writing. There was this time where we were writing like basically like an essay, and then I had my teacher. He was really awesome, and then I didn't know what exactly to write, so she made me think about important things in my life, even in my school life, and that really made me passionate about like what I'm gonna write. So I feel like she supported me by giving me like a stable mental mind that can really help me advocate and be ready to express my feelings and my thoughts by writing.
Go ahead, Quadri.
You said an example, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's my counselor. Her name is Dr. Beatty. I remember I was, going to my classes, and she just pulled me over to the side one day saying, "Oh, would you like a chance to do community service, or would you like a chance to do this or that?" And I was just stunned. I was like, "Oh, me?" And if it was a very like supportive moment. I just felt good about it.
That's awesome. Raphael, do you feel like you have or Sylvia, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I was gonna say like another example, but if Rafael wants to go, he can go.
Okay, example I would give is we have this thing at school called Apex, and then my first semester Apex, it was going to the YMCA at Crosstown. And before we have to go to the gym, we have to set goals for ourselves. But during the goals, we have to get very specific. So it can't just be, I want to get strong. It's like, I want to gain this amount of muscle before this amount of time. So I thought that was like very supportive to just like not just make a big broad goal, but like actually have something that you want to strive for and complete it.
Nice. Sounds like a lot of improvement science there. That as I'm sort of calling this is a little joke for the Carnegie people in the space. All right. Sylvia, do you want to share your other example? I don't want you to lose it.
Yeah, I can go. So I have my math teacher, Miss London. I'm gonna say like a mother, like a friend, like a sister to me, because she's very supportive to all of her students. And in her opinions really matters to me because she's really like diverse, she's really open to everything. And she makes us as students be realistic and not be like outside of real things. And something that really makes me like love her, to be honest, was how she supports us as students be ready to interview the comes. For example, if there's a project, she's gonna be there with us. She's gonna be explaining us by steps and steps if we don't get it. And I feel like that's very supportive because like not all like teachers are like that. And she's just very special, and she takes her time to make us feel very comfortable and be ready to learn. Thank you.
Oh, nice. She sounds great. Sounds like a teacher I wish I had.
She is.
Oh, good. I just want to let you all know who are in, or for the students in particular, there's a lot of love for you all in the chat. If you don't have the chat open or aren't able to see it, so you all are the best. There's a lot of things. There was a call out of hearing a theme about the importance of adults spending one-on-one time and making connections to your personal interests, passions, and goals. And then there's just a lot of thank you for your insightful answers. Another one, you're also inspiring. Thank you for sharing. So just lots of love for you in the chat. Okay. Madison, I know that you just joined us. The original question was like, how does a school feel? What makes a school when does a school feel supportive? So like, what does that look like in a supportive space? And if you had any examples from your experience, are you feeling ready to jump in?
Yeah. What a supportive school looks like to me, at least, is it has a very welcoming, non-toxic environment. You feel really included in certain projects and stuff. And an example I can think of, is probably in Apex, or what we call Apex. I think. No, actually, no, never mind. It wasn't an Apex. It was a different class. It was a gardening class, and we all had to pitch in and plant some seeds in the soil, and it really made me feel like there was a sort of community. Even though we didn't like plants that much, we still felt kind of welcomed and embraced towards each other. And yeah.
Nice. Can you explain, are you willing to say a little bit more about Apex? It sounds like this is something that's in the school. What is it, like a homeroom? Is it like a something you meet? Do you meet with those folks every day?
Apex is that it's like a 7th period,
Okay.
technically. And you pick it at I think the beginning of the year, what class you want to take, or like it's kind of like an elective or hobby thing or clubs that you want to do in that period. That's the best way I can describe it, at least.
That's awesome. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. It's helpful because I know that different schools have different things going on. So appreciate the chance to learn more about it. Okay. All right. So here's a question. How has your school let you know that they're invested in your success? Like, how do you know? Oh, Quadri, you jumped up. Okay, you take it.
I knew that they were invested in my success when, and I mean like, as soon as they started offering me AP classes after my freshman year, like as soon as I was done, AP classes. And so I think this or next week I'm about to go into AP introductions and stuff like that, so I can get familiar with the classes. And so that was just an instant.
That's what immediately popped in your mind. That's great. Okay, and it sounds like they also have, which this is interesting, you get to go learn about the classes so you can select which ones you want, because not all schools have that. So that's also nice. You get that chance to do that. Other thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Quadri. So, in my opinion, in my like example, I feel like my school, they literally showed me that they were investing in my success by basically like every month they were giving us like a chance and opportunities to do what like we feel comfortable with and to have like a specific learning styles that can help us become better as a student, as a person. And they were also giving us like assessments, different projects and everything. And that literally like showed me that they were really invested in our learning and our like growth as a student.
Sylvia, that's great. Can you describe an example of a project that stands out to you?
Yeah. So in my English class, we created like a portfolio about for example, myself. And I feel like in that portfolio, I literally learned more about myself than what I like literally know about myself. And that literally showed me how my teacher was really like invest in my learning and what kind of things I want to do and what kind of dreams I like persuade or things I want to do. So a portfolio was like the project that really like helped me a lot.
Nice, thank you.
I think a certain way that I felt that my school was invested in our success was just by being reached out to. Again, like being able to just have that open communication with our administration, or what we call is our network, which is all of our coaches who just work with all of the students, they work with the teachers, etc. And every cycle, which is a quarter for us, so 1/4 of the school year, we are emailed at the end of the cycle, and we are given a ton of opportunities of internships, things that can help support us through tutoring, and just a ton of opportunities, even things like jobs of something that they think that we would be interested in, or new classes that they think we would be interested in. Even with this meeting that I was invited to was because of someone that I work with for my internship, and I was offered this opportunity. So I just feel like we are reached out to and seen as very like as people who are capable of doing things and not just, you know, there to learn the basics.
Thanks, Elizabeth. That's awesome. Raphael, did we hear from you?
No, I knew the school was investing in our success when the teachers were helping students that didn't even want to be helped. So like, say if a student was like on the verge of failing, but it's towards the end of the year and you know that the student has, may not have been the best student, but you still try to help them push through and try to just get borderline pass. I thought that was very supportive and they really wanted us to succeed and not want to repeat the grade.
Interesting. So I hear in your answer, what's interesting is like, it's not even necessarily just your own success, but like student success. And you see that in the supports that are offered for the other students. So that's great. Some things in the chat. All of this is so cool. There's responsive, love that. We are people capable of doing things, not just learn the basics. And then your quote, Elizabeth. So thank you. So that's something we should pull forward. So love it. One question. So just to get really specific, because we had talked about this being, wait, Madison, we didn't hear from you, did we yet? Sorry, I'm not tracking my responses. Did you have a thought on ways in which the school shows that they're invested in your success?
Yes, actually. In our school, we had, well, not for ninth graders, but for upperclassmen, there was this email sent out to upperclassmen talking about different scholarships that they can get while still at Crosstown and how they can get it by working really hard and getting good grades. And I think that really says a lot about our school and how caring they are as school staff.
Nice, thank you for that example. All right.
Oh, do you mind if I add another
No,
thing?
please do.
My school, I think at least twice a year, will do during our lunch hour, which is about I'd say 1.5 hour long period because we have advisories between that. There were a ton of vendors who came to our school and showed what they do for their work and gave opportunities for internships, and students were allowed to walk around, speak to them, apply for different opportunities and things like that. And everyone was welcome to it. So 9th grade all the way up to 12th grade was able to do that. And it was it felt very interactive and like something that, if someone was interested in working with teachers, we were able to do that by working with the elementary school that's connected to our building, etc. And it was just very insightful and good to have those resources.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that example. And it says a lot about the commitment to like building opportunities to learn both inside school, but this notion of like building community partnerships too, which is exciting. There was a question, Susan, actually, thank you, Susan. Oh, did someone just say something? Sylvia, was that you?
Yeah, I was gonna give like another like example,
Yeah.
Okay. So in my school, they tend to celebrate every achievements, even like the littlest little one, and like all the big things that a student can accomplish, like every like kind of month, like every kind of week, they like tend to celebrate each student. And something that I learned from that is that mistakes are meant to be made, but we can learn from that. Like that really like came to my mind every time. All of my teachers were like, "No, it's okay, Sylvia, you can try again. No, it's okay, Sylvia, you're good." Like all those things make me feel as a student be like really proud of myself and really proud of my school, since it's literally teaching me so many things that me as a student and me as a person can grow. And like everyone has dreams. Like my school literally like every time and every like minute tells me that I can literally accomplish that. So that's really nice for my school and my community.
That's exciting. I'm glad that those things get celebrated, but also that message is coming through to you that it's okay sometimes to mess up because it's an opportunity to learn. We have a phrase that someone says a lot at work, which is fail means first attempt at learning or first attempt in learning. So it's an interesting, but we can say it's something different to actually live it and feel it. So I'm glad that that's how that feels. There was a question in the chat, so thank you, Susan wrote, and it's related to this notion of the internships or connections. She asked, I'm curious how the students are supported by their community. Are there partnerships, internships, field trips, etc.? So, Elizabeth sort of opened it up with that notion, but are there other examples from your schools or ways in which you have opportunities to learn in those? Quadri, and I see Sylvia. I'll pass it on.
One thing that I'm proud about in Ron Brown is there's certain students, who everybody likes to compete with. I'm gonna get better grades. I'm gonna get a better score than you or that. And I like that type of drive in the community that's in my circle at least. But in everybody else's circle, no, they all have their own little drive. Oh, I'm gonna get a 4.0 here. I'm gonna get a 3.0 or above there. And I feel like that's always a drive from my community. And it's very, very, very supportive.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
My community, especially on my school, they really support us, but no matter your race, no matter this language you speak, you're gonna be accepted. So I feel like that's really important because us as students, we want to be accepted, and we're not really old. We're just like teenagers, we're kids. So I feel like that's a really good example of how my school is supporting us, because we're really close. Everyone in school is really close. The principal, we're really comfortable speaking our minds, and it's so nice being accepted by who you are, and that's really a good supporting thing to do.
I really appreciate both of your answers. There's this sense of, I heard in your answer that you heard the word community, and that was associated with school, which I appreciate, that school is a place of community. I think the question, what Susan was getting at is are there opportunities like internships, which Elizabeth that talked about, or ways in which you could do field trips or partner with, the ways in which the school interacts with maybe local businesses or other organizations in the community. Are there sort of connections between school and those places around the school? Do you guys have opportunity to do that?
We do field trips.
Sorry. You can go ahead if you want to.
Yeah. In our school, we do field trips, kind of at the beginning of the month, every month, every 2 months. And that's really a good thing because it really helps us keep track of our things, and I want to try my best because I want to go in that field trip. So it's really nice how my school is keeping up with the community. We do a lot of gardening, putting seeds, flowers, and all that. So it's really a nice thing to do.
I'd say for more opportunities that we have that kind of have to do with internships, this isn't from my own experience, but from the upperclassmen that I tend to bring myself around that are a part of the student government with me. They all did I think it's called the Medlin Project, where they did a presentation to this huge organization, and they were reached out to do this presentation, and were given one problem to fix about a specific lower to middle class area of Colombia to try and help with the schooling system. And 3 of those people ended up winning the Medlin award, I think it was, and flew out to Colombia and actually spoke with their government, which I feel is just a really cool opportunity that our school has given us. Another one that I can use as an example for myself is my mock trial group was invited to the Invitation of Bulldogs Yale Mock Trial Association national competition this September, and I didn't even know it existed until my school reached out to me and spoke to me about that and how they thought that we were good enough to apply, and then we ended up having the opportunity to go. And I feel our school is just always searching and looking for more opportunities for their students based on their interests.
That's great. Raphael, anything you want to add?
We have this place, a business in our school called Sneaker Bar, and I mistakenly signed a Google form to like tour it. But once I got there and he explained everything and like the staff introduced themselves, it really made me think about how interesting it is to take a very damaged shoe and refurbish it and clean it to make it look as good as new. And I thought that was cool.
Sounds like an interesting opportunity. Madison, anything you want to add?
Yeah. Around like last year or this year, I forgot when, we went to on a US government field trip. I forgot where, but it had something to do with jury and judge stuff. And it really taught me about the different branches of government and how they function, why they function the way that they do. I think it's really important for students to know, just in case they get in trouble with like law and stuff, and how they can protect themselves using the amendments, Bill of Rights, and all that type of stuff. So I think it's really educational that they told us to go to that field trip. I don't know.
Nice. Yeah, instead of reading it in a book, you got to go see it. You got to go be with the people and in the building. That's nice. All right. So for everyone, I don't even think I said this, but the students that we have here they are all rising sophomores. So they made it through 9th grade, the make or break year. And so this last question, and then I'm going to open it up. So feel free to drop some questions. I know we're sort of getting towards the end of it, but if you guys have questions for a student, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll service them. But my last question for you all is that you've been given all kinds of power, and you have folks here in the room, and the people who may watch this recording are sometimes they run states, they have a lot of influence over schools, they get to help principals think about how to design those, people who are running districts. So you get the power to like give advice about how do you start the 9th grade year? Like, what are the things that were really important at the beginning of the school year? What advice would you give to those people who are kind of in charge of like setting some of those conditions? What advice would you give for the start of the school year, particularly that 9th grade year?
And advice I would give is that, I mean, some people tend to think that 9th grade is like freshman year. Oh no, it's not. I'm not gonna worry about that. But I feel like, in my opinion, and advice I would give is like, try to learn about your community, your school, the people you're with, and try to have fun. Because like 9th grader, for me, it's gonna be like a really good memory because I love my teachers, the principal, and everything. So try to learn and try to have fun. But as I said, learn from the mistakes you make. And just like try to have fun and like just work hard to accomplish anything you want, and like get into things you're interested in, clubs. In my school, there's a lot of like academies, and I feel like that's a really good, interesting thing about my school, because like a lot of opportunities, a lot of choices to make, and freshman year is all about that. It's about thinking about what you like and thinking about what you want to do in the future. So
Sylvia, that was awesome advice. I think you're giving it to the students though. Here's a chance you get to like use your magic wand and make the adults like fix things. So like, what advice would you give to other adults who are running other schools to help their 9th graders? What should they do? I heard you talk about academies.
They should give different, they should put different things, not just one choice. Like, for example, if you want to be in a sport, if you want to make a club, give a lot of diversity things that a student can be interested in. Like, for example, they're interested in like media, social media. They're interested in like taking pictures and all of that, mass media. They're interested in like nursery and all those things about the life of like human anatomy and all of that, plants and all of that. So I feel like as someone who runs the school, they should think about different opportunities they can give the students, make clubs, make academies, make different things that can like help the student be interested in and be ready to learn.
Thank you, Sylvia. I appreciate it. That's good advice.
I think I'm so sorry. I only have like 3 words to say, and it's just encouraging self-advocacy to all students. Encouraging that from because for me, with my middle school, we didn't have very many freedoms. And compared to the school that I go to currently, everything that we choose to do is based on how much we advocate for ourselves. And being taught that at the beginning of the school year and being told that you will be listened to, I think is the most important thing that you can do for your students.
Nice, I appreciate that. So maybe even the advice is also listen more. That's good. I appreciate it. Quadri, I see you with your hand up.
Yes, ma'am. Get to know the students. Because if they feel there's a disconnect, they're not going to listen to you. Firsthand experience. I know
You can
people
be
who
honest.
do.
You can be honest.
I know people who do that. So make sure you get to know your students, connect with them, and try to get to know them better. And don't what's the word? Don't try to not abuse power, but don't try to make the students feel like, oh, here she go again. Oh, here you go again. Don't like heckler. I don't know if that's the right word, but just get to know the student.
That was fantastic. I appreciate it. Madison, I see you shake. Oh, we heard from Madison and Raphael, and we'll come back to you. Sylvia, is that good? Madison, what advice do you have?
Honestly, from my personal experience through 8th grade and 9th grade, what got me through was consistent studying and paying attention when need be. Honestly, I wasn't really worried about what other people were trying to do. I was just focused on what I needed to do. And I think that's really important, especially if you want to get really high grades and have a high GPA level. But also, you need to take notes in classes that you aren't really good at, like math or science or all of that, those type of classes. Taking notes and asking questions. That's a really big one. Asking questions.
Power of a
Yeah.
good question. It can be really powerful.
Yeah. And that's all though.
Thanks, Madison. I really appreciate it. Raphael, advice you have for the adults? How do we make better schools right from the start?
I think keeping the students active is like a big part. Like in high school, that's when sports get very competitive. So I just think some students might think just because I don't play sports means I can't exercise. So I think instead of like, say you're in PE and you're learning about the body system, instead of just sitting there and learning about it, like after you learn about it, use the different muscles and like different things to get your heart pumping and heart flowing. And I think that's the best way to do it.
So true. We don't stop moving just because we're using our brains doesn't mean we can't use our bodies. So true. Sylvia, you had another one you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I also feel like, for example, a principal, someone who's like high up in the school should make a student feel amazing, outstanding, and really like ready to make a choice, ready to be who they are, and ready to be and just be ready for everything, and to learn from all of their like things that they want to do, and to that they're always, for example, they're always gonna be an opportunity and a choice that they can make. So I feel like a community, a school, a principal, a teacher, they should make a student feel comfortable and feel ready for anything.
Nice. I appreciate that. How can we make sure everybody feels ready? I am so grateful. I didn't see any questions in the chat, but I'll open it up and we have a little bit of time. If there's anybody who wanted to come off mute and ask our wise counselor here, which I really appreciate. If anyone wants to ask a question, you feel free to come off mute.
Can I just say thank you for your honesty, my friends. I really appreciate your wisdom and your willingness to share with this group of grown-ups. So we've learned a lot, been affirmed and challenged.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
actually have a question
Yeah,
about those gift cards that
yeah.
was in the email. What type of gift cards?
You and I can sort that out. We'll sort that out after this, but I think it'll be one that you like. It'll be one that's available for you to use in ways that you want. So that's a good question, and I appreciate
have a question.
your point about good questions. That was a good question, Madison. Sylvia, you had a question?
So something came up to my mind. So do you think ninth grade freshman year is really important to like a student? Do you think that would help being a ninth grader, starting like new things, starting to be open, not seeing things from like child and all of that? Do you think ninth grader is gonna help prepare a kid, prepare a student, prepare like a teenager, be ready for the things that are coming?
Well, I think you're in the right room. Everyone here, all these grown-ups do think that. So we're all really invested in ninth grade, in part because we know it's a really pivotal time, both emotionally, cognitively, even the conditions that are changing and shifting of responsibilities, all of these things that are like socially happening. So it's a really powerful time. And I think all of us are committed and are here because we're committed to trying to make sure our schools are on board with that and are designed in such ways and set up in such ways that we help more students, as opposed to just thinking, they're going to figure it out. And if they, if it's up to them to figure it out on their own, because that's what we think growing up is. But we have a lot of research and evidence to suggest that's not actually helpful. So I think you're in the right place where we all do think that about ninth grade.
Sylvia, are you headed into ninth grade?
Yeah, I am going to 10th grade sophomore.
Okay, right on. So you already handled that.
Did. Handled it well. All right, well, we're getting towards our closing time. Let me just share a little closing things out. Actually, before we do that though, maybe everybody could come off mute and we'll just give like a round of applause, like any like clapping, sort of like thank you. Just go ahead and say thank you. Say again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
It's so it's very, as in Sarah's words, very affirming. I really appreciate you guys getting to hear from you guys is a great reminder. But let me just point us all to our next community of practice is going to be August 8th. So if you're willing to come back and join us again, hopefully the Zoom will work that day. I apologize again for the mix up, but we're going to have who actually is going to talk about some of the research about this investing in adolescence and what we know about Power of Ninth Grade. So we're going to hear from Jeanette Porter from the University of Chicago Consortium Research on School Research. So we'll get to hear about a recent article. I think Anna is dropping in the chat for us the link about that. And the report came out in April. So also the report is now available for you to read if you're interested in reading that before you come. But just to flag, it's on Tuesday, August 8th. We usually meet on a Wednesday. So it'll be Tuesday, August 8th at 3 p.m. Eastern. So look forward to seeing you there. And then as always, really love your feedback. So if you want to give us some feedback on today's session, we would love to hear it. It helps us get better and helps us learn and improve. And as always, you being here is what helps us make it a community. So we really want to hear from you. So hopefully that is in the chat. And again, I have tremendous gratitude for our students who are here. Thank you so much. And there are a couple of teachers and supporters from the district. So thank you for joining us. And you're always all welcome to come back to the community. Our community of practices is an open, wide tent. We always welcome a chance to hear from students. And I'm so grateful for you taking some time out of your summer to spend it with us, and wish you a great summer the rest of the time before you head back to school. And I'm really confident that it'll be continued success. So thank you again. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.